Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Geek-Stew. And today, guys, welcome back to another episode of Conspiracy Theories with Ike. That's right. And a little bit of a different angle here. I'm actually standing up and using, I have a ring light type deal. The lighting here is actually not too bad, so I'm not using the light itself, but I am putting my phone on it, which is surprisingly working. I was thinking that I wouldn't be able to hold the phone up, but no need to fear. Apparently, it's working. So, that being said, here we are. Wonderful window side view. I like this view. I like having the window behind me. It brings a little peace to my life. But anyways, nothing crazy has happened since the last time I saw you. If you haven't already, check out the Listen to Their Screens podcast. I wanted to go ahead and throw that out there because I posted about some of this more like horror stuff that I do on that channel. So I went to a horror convention this last weekend, which was actually pretty cool. It was called it was like Pensacon Halloween Fest or something like that. Just a little thing here in Pensacola. And actually in February next year, I'm going to be going to Pensacon, which is like the big Comic-Con they have down here, which is actually pretty cool. I'm really excited for it. But yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow that. Find it on Spotify and Apple Music, I believe, or the podcast. I'm sorry, not Apple Music. I'm not a musician, but yeah, it's on the podcast streaming service for Apple as well as Spotify. It's called Listen to Their Screams, but you can find it most places as Listen, the number 2, Screams. So yeah, if you want to check it out, I'd appreciate it. But today, guys, we are going to go ahead and jump into our conspiracy theory. This one is actually from the Conspiracy Theory Iceberg, so I do want to go ahead and give credit to Cicada 1205 for the Conspiracy Theory Iceberg. The last few theories actually haven't been necessarily from the iceberg. I think a few of them may have appeared on the iceberg, but I wasn't explicitly using the iceberg for those. But this one actually came from the iceberg, and I used some of the information from Reddit to actually get a jump start on this theory. But that being said, we are going to jump into our theory today. Theory today is all religions are the same. So as far as the name goes, this is a pretty straightforward theory. All religions are the same. Doesn't waste any time at all. Basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a theory that proposes all religions are the same. Now, if we leave it at face value, it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess that could be the case. But in my research, I found a couple of different ways that you can kind of go down this path, right? Basically, just as a little form of pretext and implication here, it's basically saying that all religions, monotheistic as well as polytheistic, could be considered the same entity in some way, shape, or form. Basically, the two interpretations I found are actually pretty interesting, but they're very different. So the first one is that all religions are derived from one religious belief. Basically, there was a original religion or some kind of original belief system that all the other belief systems kind of spawned from. A lot of people think that this original belief system was actually Zoroastrianism. Now, I'm not super duper familiar with Zoroastrianism. I have heard some of the information from this, so I have some information, but from my research, Zoroastrianism came up around 6,000 to 4,000 BCE, which predates essentially any other religion. Now, that being said, there are some folks who do believe that their religious texts indicate that their religion predates this one and so forth, and that's fine. I'm not here to, bash anybody's individual religions, but from a historical standpoint, this one does predate most other religions in terms of when it came about. That being said, without stepping on too many toes here, without assuming anything about any context or any religious beliefs or writings and texts, historically speaking, this is one of the original religions, and if not the original religion that was popularized and put into mainstream religion, if you will. Anyways, I just had to get that out just because I know somebody's going to disagree with that, but that's fine. I'm okay with that. Anyhow, without looking at any particular religion, we're going to kind of, throw out some details about Zoroastrianism, some key elements, if you will, that kind of go along with other things. I will say that Zoroastrianism shares the most similarities with monotheistic religions. I will kind of give that a little bit of a preface. Polytheistic religions do kind of have some identifying characteristics that match this, but monotheisms in general share similar, characteristics just all across the board. But just to kind of, again, resurface here, we are saying that Zoroastrianism is the original religion, that other religions basically derive from that. That basically being said, a lot of the key elements and details that we want to look at that Zoroastrianism shares with some of the other common religions, Christianity, Judaism, and other common monotheistic religions. Let's go ahead and do it. Basically, first and foremost, there is one God. That's, I think, the biggest one, but obviously all monotheistic religions share that similarity. That being said, there is a battle of some sort, right? Most religions agree that there is a battle between good and evil. In Zoroastrianism, they do specifically believe in a one true good God, but there is a evil entity of some sort that one true good God is combating. Christianity is similar. I don't necessarily know if Judaism has something like that, but I do know that they believe in one true good God, and there are evil in the world. So basically, that's a big commonality. Also, weirdly enough, Zoroaster, who is the prophet, if you will, of Zoroastrianism, Zoroaster was born of immaculate conception, just like Jesus was. I thought that was interesting. Zoroaster wasn't, I don't believe, the son of God per se, but he was a prophet of the religion. Also, Zoroaster and Jesus kind of look alike. I mean, I'm not trying to say that they're the exact same, but let's do a little comparison. This is Zoroaster. Let's do this. This is Zoroaster. This is the picture I found, right? Obviously, I know that this is, most likely just a rendition or a depiction. And so there's that. And then this is a common look at Jesus. Now, I don't necessarily agree with how Jesus looks, because if Jesus was born in the Middle East, he's not going to look like a white boy. But here's what I'm going to say. If we're going to assume that the same people who worked up Zoroastrianism maybe worked up, Christianity, maybe there's some similarities or commonalities. But they do look vaguely similar, in my opinion. Regardless, there's also a common belief in a heaven and a hell, like a good place and a bad place after death. Zoroastrianism has that belief, as well as many other religious beliefs have a sort of a belief that there is a good place and there's a bad place. They also have angels and demons. I don't believe they're called specifically angels and demons, but Zoroastrianism does have a sort of, a fighter of God and then a fighter of evil, right? In addition to that, there is a general belief that people can be good and people can be evil, right? There are some other tenets and similarities, but I think these are the pretty big ones, the ones that I feel like share the most commonality with Christianity. And I think that's kind of what I'm going at with this, is that Christianity is, I guess this is not to say that this is for sure, but just to kind of yield a sort of an important question that some folks might be asking. If this predates Christianity, which historically speaking, it does seem that Zoroastrianism as a religious belief does predate chronologically, Christianity. And there are these very stark and, there are these very stark similarities, right? These aren't major differences. These aren't, something like an immaculate conception. That's one that really struck me, because that's not a very common trope in prior, historical landmarks. There are in some. I know that there are other religions that do believe that there could be or is a divine being of some sort that was born of immaculate conception, or maybe a prophet. But that being said, it does seem as if Christianity took some stuff from Zoroastrianism. So something to think about, I guess. Now, that's the first interpretation. The first interpretation is saying that there is an original religion, that original religion kind of spawned these other religions, which is a great idea. It's an interesting concept, cool theory. But there is another one that I do want to touch on briefly. The other interpretation is Omnism. So this is a pretty cool belief system that essentially allows a person to believe in that all religions are valid and can exist. However, Omnism is also seen as a way to accept the existence of various religions without believing in all that religion professes to teach, right? you can pick, not to say that you can pick and choose, but you believe that there are certain lessons that religions have in common and certain lessons that some religions teach that are good, but it allows you to decipher between the lines and say, perhaps this is not as it seems, perhaps this is not a lesson that I need to learn. Basically, many omnists say that all religions contain truth, but that no one religion contains all that is truth, which basically means that some religions have stuff that maybe is not 100% where it needs to be or 100% truth. Additionally, and this part is copied directly from Google because I could not find a better way to word it than this, Omnism does not appear to be a form of theology, as it neither espouses nor opposes particular beliefs about God. However, it instead affirms the necessity of one arriving at an understanding of reality based on personal experience, engagement, and inquiry, as well as an acceptance of the validity and legitimacy of differing understandings of others. So long story short, Omnism's just like, look, we're all working towards the same goal, right? The different religions and everything else, we're all, it's just different attempts and ventures to achieve the same goal. And it's saying that in an effort to attain that goal, maybe, just maybe, different religions have common truths or truths that are important, right? Obviously, I'm not an expert about Omnism. I did very brief research on it. But from surface level, looking at Omnism at the front, at the definition, it seems like a good idea. I mean, I don't want to say that it is a good idea. I don't know who really invented Omnism, right? I don't know if that person is, a bad person or what their intentions of creating Omnism was. But it seems like this is not a bad idea. It seems like this is kind of one of those ideas that treats religion almost like fiction in a way, where all religion kind of has a similar core and similar values, but that we can each come to different conclusions and truths, but ultimately we're all kind of fighting the same battle, and that's kind of what I think. I think we're all telling the same story over and over again. All these religions have the same concepts, the same truths. It's just a matter of how they're presented and how they're put onto paper, I guess. But anyhow, that is the omnist way of thinking. That is the omnist view. That is the second interpretation that I could find about all religions being the same, or perhaps having commonalities. Two very starkly different. One is sort of just a belief system. One is sort of a historical adventure, if you will. With that being said, I'm not going to keep rambling for too much longer. I'm going to go ahead and dive into final thoughts. So this is a theory that I have wanted to review for a little bit, but I never really had a chance to read about Zoroastrianism and kind of get the meat of that theory, the meat of that context, that story. But I think there is a lot that could be included in this that I didn't include. I think the conversation about similarities of religions is a very long conversation, and it's something that I could definitely get more into at some other point. And as you noticed, I really only included monotheistic religions in this comparison just because I feel like when you talk about religion and you talk about commonalities between Zoroastrianism and other religions, comparing it to common monotheistic religions, even I didn't mention it, but even things like Islam, it has some I would say even some commonalities with that, and Hinduism, as well as some of the other Buddhist teachings, which isn't necessarily religion per se, because not all Buddhists believe that Buddha is God. It's more of a spiritual alignment. There's a whole nother part of this conversation that you could have that kind of dives into those theories, because Buddhism kind of breaks that line of philosophy and religion. But that being said, Zoroastrianism, being a monotheistic religion, has a lot of similarities to other monotheistic religions. Versus, while it has similarities to polytheistic religions, there are elements of monotheisms that are inherently similar, which is kind of, I think, the point that this is trying to get to. But anyways, enough of all that. The theory
Today, Junior,
was really a thinker, if you will. Made me really think and try and process this information the best that I could. Like I said, I think the biggest thing that I like to do with these theories is I like to kind of have a conversation and, try and think like, hey, how can I make this make sense to other people, right? That's my main goal, is trying to take the information as I have it and try and kind of translate it in a way that makes sense to other people. Because truth be told, it can make sense to me, but I want to try and make it make sense for other people. So with that all the way, as we kind of close out the video here, I want to go ahead and say, make sure you like and subscribe, follow us on social media, all of that good jazz. We do have a Discord. It is a little dead right now, but I do want to kind of reinvigorate it at some point, so feel free to join if you will. That being said, I don't really have much else to tell you. Make sure you check out the Listen to Their Screams podcast. We put out another video yesterday. Today is Friday. If you're watching this video, happy Friday. But we put out another episode yesterday where I kind of reviewed a few different things. The focus of the episode was Hocus Pocus 2. I just flipped you guys off. 2. Hocus Pocus 2, because that came out last week. But yeah, so that's it. That's all there is. There's no more video, guys. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. Anyways, like I said, like and subscribe, follow us on social media, tell your friends, word of mouth, and as always, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay awesome. We'll see you in the next one. See ya.